Welcome back. Guess you didn't know we were going to have part two. Neither did I. The video just got to be so long that when I reviewed it, I just decided to split it in two. So this one just picks up where the other one left off. You learned about making rotations in the last video, and from there we're going to go into the actual pattern making and then a few tips on the layout. So without any further ado, let's get moving. All right, so let's get to the business of making a pattern. So once you find what it is that you like, then, and this was my basic motif, then I went in and I just added some color. So you want to make sure two things. I converted these to outlines. So if you have a letter form, like, oh, these are all converted. Let me just show you. Let's just do an O. If I want to convert this O to outlines, I just go to Type, I have to have just, it's selected. Select your type and go Type, Create Outlines, and now it's outlines. Because when we make a pattern, these are going to get really complex, and you're asking Illustrator to do a lot of calculations if you leave it as type when it's a pattern, and that could run into trouble later. So get in the habit of converting those to outlines when you're ready to start adding color. And make your color flat color. Don't put any gradients in here. Again, the gradients, well, if your pattern is simple enough, you can use gradients, but sometimes you can get into a lot of trouble using gradients. Okay, so to make a tile, now I could just use this and have it be a tile, but then it's going to be not have a background color. So most patterns are based on a square. So I'm just holding down the Shift key and constraining that so that I have a square. And I'm just going to get this right dead center as best I can. I can nudge that a little bit with my arrow keys. And I'm going to send this to the back. Object, Arrange, Send Back, and I'm going to flip my colors so now it's black. So you do want to have a square set up so you have your design motif in a square tile. And then you want to open up your swatch panel, which let's go up to the menu bar to Window, and we'll go to Swatches. And then to make your pattern is very easy. You just click and drag around that whole motif. Then you take it and you just bring it over to the swatch panel, and when the box highlights, right now mine's orange, yours might look green or might look blue, you just drop it. Where'd mine go? I don't see it. Let's try it again. Drop. There it is. Okay, so it popped in right there. Now if I create a box, I can fill this with that pattern just by going to the swatch panel and clicking on that tile. And there it is. Now what you're going to be doing for this assignment is you're going to be creating two versions, two different color versions, two different pattern variations on each page. And so how do you do that? I'm going to show you a couple of different things that are really going to help you out. I'm just going to copy that one over. No, you know what? I'm not. I'm going to start with this one. If I want to size this so that it's smaller, I want to go over to my scale tool, and I'm going to double click to open the window. And then what we want to do is we want the object, this frame that it's sitting in, we want that to stay the size that it is. So I'm going to uncheck Transform Object. That's the object. And I want to make sure that Transform Pattern is checked. Let's bring that down to like 50%. And you can always preview it to see. And there it is at 50%. That looks good. I'm going to hit OK. Okay, so let's look at one other way you can create a pattern. Now that my motif is made, I can actually make a different pattern. I'm going to take this, I'm going to copy it, and I'm going to edit this pattern. I'm going to go up to, I'm going to go to Window, Pattern Options. And then when this Pattern Options box opens up, you want to go over to this little widget on the side, and you want to choose Edit Pattern. And that's going to open up all your options in this box. So there it is. It puts you into kind of like an editing mode. And so we see the main motif, and here the tile type. This is what's really important. So if we do like brick by row, okay, it offsets it. And then you've got all kinds of options on how much you want to offset it. So there's several different options in here. You can do hexagons and brick by column, or you can just go back to the grid. You can offset this you know, by a third or a fourth. So this is another little place for you to play with. I'm going to leave that alone because I like it. And so what I want to do here to save this is I'm going to go up to the top and I'm going to click Done. Now that changed both of them. That's okay. I'm going to go ahead and take this one and change it back to what I had before. So now I've got two different patterns. One set up just as the grid, the other one is a brick with an offset. Okay. Now you can also just play with changing the background color as well. So the last thing you're going to do, once you have, you know, 3 different patterns made, now the first 2 are going to be like rotations, and then your third one I've asked you to just come up with a couple of words and fit them together and just do a little word pattern. So that's going to be totally up to you on what you want to do. So I'm just going to show you as an example. You know, I've got all of my ingredients right here. So I'm going to go over to this last file that I already have preset. And you want to remember that there are some things you want to be sure are on your file. You want to make sure your name is on there. I want to see the 2 letters that you're using. It's really nice to name, you know, let me know what font you used, and then your basic design motif. Okay, so those appear on each and every page, as well as you're going to have 2 blocks of that are filled with your pattern variations. And you can see this one just has you know, the brick and the grid patterns. One has kind of a deep purple, one has like a deep navy background, and they're different sizes inside, so there's some nice variation between the 2. So when it's time for you to make your layout, I want you to be mindful of using your guidelines and using the rulers to create guides. So that's Command R, and that pops those rulers up on the top and the left side. If I do Command R again, they disappear. So that's a toggle switch. So what am I going to do here? I think I'm going to maybe put these off to the right, and maybe I have these centered down the middle. I'm going to make that centered. And these should be all centered. You can use your Pathfinder to help you center things. I'm going to go up here and make this, here's my center line. There we go. Now they're all centered. And maybe I think maybe I'll just, oops, I've got to make sure that your scale tool is set up properly. So I do not want to transform my patterns. I just want to transform my objects. I'm going to hit OK because I've got it set up right now. And now I can just use my I can use the direct selection tool to drag this out and make it the size that I want. So guides. Now, if this is on an 11, So I want to bring a guideline out to 5.5 because I want all of my name and all of this information to be centered down the middle. And then move that over. Okay, and you probably want to make sure that your boxes are the same width too. And sometimes I just make myself a little widget. So I know that one's going to be that wide. I want the other one to match. I can just pull that over and then bring that one out so it's the same. And I'm going to remove that. Now once you get it one set up, it'll be easy to copy and paste and get the next one set up. So I'm just going to move this down. How do I want that? Actually, I think I like that up a little bit higher. Okay, so that's going to be my pattern. And then, and my layout. So then from here, you know, if you have all 3 pages made, then you want to save it as a PDF. Really easy. Okay, I'm just going to save this right now. And then I'm going to go to, so I have the Illustrator file. I'm going to go to File, Save As, and then to make it a PDF file, you just change the format. This is at the bottom of the box. So PDF. And then you hit Save. And it's going to bring up this window. You just want to make sure it says Illustrator Default. And then Save PDF. It's a good idea to open up your PDF, look at all 3 pages, make sure they look good, they look right before you end up turning it in. One last point, whatever your layout looks like, you don't have to follow what I just did here. I just made that up. Make the layout look good. Use your design sense to, you know, bring your own aesthetic to it. So maybe we need to go in and open up that Acrobat file. I'm going to open up Acrobat and go to my type as pattern if I can find it. There it is. And open it. And there it is. So I can reduce that. We can see the whole thing. Okay. That's it. Have fun, designers.